No way he said that, as Josh Metellus speaks out on the Aaron Rodgers offseason saga, which has fans fired up. But first, the spotlight has never been brighter as a recent report featuring JJ McCarthy gives huge expectations despite training camp growing pains. We're going to be breaking down all of that in this episode of Vikings Digest. But first, if you're enjoying this content and you're part of the 77% of viewers who aren't yet subscribed, you want to stay up to date, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of the updates as they drop. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is the spotlight is even bigger. So The Athletic came out with an article recently, actually earlier today, talking about the hyped offense team for the NFL this season. Ben Johnson was the coaching candidate, and then we get to the quarterback where it's JJ McCarthy from the Vikings, and it says, surrounded by one of the league's most talented rosters, the 22-year-old has everything a first-year starter could ask for: a world-class play caller, a head coach Kevin O'Connell, and a stout offensive line, talented skill position, and sole control of the starting role. His progress was Minnesota's biggest question heading into training camp, and he's checked most boxes since. Yes, he's checked most boxes from a physical standpoint, but from a skill standpoint, it's been a little bit of rough sailing for JJ McCarthy, as he's had an up and down start to training camp. The year two quarterback flashed early, but has reportedly had a few rough practices against an imposing defense early in training camp. The young quarterback described them as learning moments and a defense that hasn't given him many easy throws or clean pockets. And right off the bat, before we hop into what McCarthy had to say about it, everyone's going to jump on the JJ McCarthy criticism saying, oh, he can't complete passes, and all the naysayers are going to say, see, we told you so. This is what you get, Vikings fans. But how many quarterbacks in their first year as a starter are going up against a top 5 defense in the NFL? You look at the top 5 defense in the NFL, look at the quarterbacks that they have going up against them in practice. You got guys like Josh Allen going up against them. You got top defenses like Jalen Hurts going up against them. And you have some other ones. The Chiefs, they have a solid defense as well. Patrick Mahomes is going up against them. With all these top defenses in the league, then the Rams as well, they have Matthew Stafford going against them in practice. All these top defenses have veteran quarterbacks who have won Super Bowls or have won MVPs or just highly accomplished in the NFL. And they're going up against them in practice and just trying to make it look easy. But then you get to JJ McCarthy. He's his first year starter, year 2 quarterback knowing this system. And he's going up against a top 5 unit every single day. Of course there's going to be growing pains. Of course there's going to be learning curves. And he acknowledges that. He says, honestly, constant improvement, learning every single day. When the periods don't go your way, you're always asking why. It's never a loss. You're always learning from it. Those periods where they really get you, I feel like that's where we learn the most about ourselves and our offense. And then this is something where JJ McCarthy isn't getting discouraged by it. He's embracing these struggles that he's facing. Now, a lot of people are going to say, yeah, this is exactly what we want to hear. This is just quarterback speak, yada, yada, yada. But for a guy to come out and say, hey, yeah, I'm going to make mistakes, but I need to learn from those mistakes and I need to embrace those mistakes and just say, hey, what can I really take away from this and what can I improve on? Instead of just trying to brush it off and move on to the next play like a lot of players do or a lot of coaches advise, saying, yeah, don't worry about it, forget about it, we'll just get the next one. You have to have that element of it to an extent, not to the point where you completely forget what you just did and just try and make that mistake over and over and over again, throwing the same pick in double coverage, missing a guy on an out route, just overthrowing a guy, throwing it too high, whatever, things like that. If you don't assess those things, you're going to keep continuing. So it's not just something that you can just brush off, move on to the next play. It just, mistakes happen. No, this is a case where you look at what you made a mistake of in the moment. Yeah, you move on and you try and go after it and just go with the best way you can. But after the fact, when you're off of the field in between periods, when you're after practice and you're going through film, that's when you're really breaking it down, saying, okay, I messed up here. How can I improve it? What can I learn from it here? What can the offense learn from it as a whole from here? And how can everybody improve to be the best team that we can while going up against an elite defense every single day in practice? And they're going to make our lives hell for us, so we got to try and make lives hell for them. So now the Minnesota has to go and try and do that. And the Vikings defense, which can make even veteran quarterbacks wet themselves at times, has reportedly been in McCarthy's face quite a bit over the past several practices. In Tuesday's red zone session, the QB struggled, completing a reported 3 of 11 attempts in the restricted area. And B-Flow is not going to make it easy on McCarthy either. We know from his time in Miami that B-Flow is a no-nonsense type of coach, especially when he was in New England as well under Bill Belichick. He didn't let anything fly, and he was just going to give you the rundown, whether you were a rookie or a veteran. He was going to attack you all the same and make sure that he wore you down, but also made you a better player as a result. How many times on those Patriots teams have we looked at those defenses as a whole, and when Brian Flores was there, and you look at those guys that he brought the best out of? Malcolm Butler, he made him look like a Super Bowl MVP candidate, and then you look at how he was when he left him and went to Tennessee, really washed out. And then, of course, the stuff that happened after his career, we don't want to talk about that. But, of course, with Brian Flores, he brings the best out of players. We saw so many criticisms last season when Minnesota brought in and lost Danielle Hunter. They brought in Jonathan Grenard. Well, guess what? Jonathan Grenard had the same exact stats as Danielle Hunter did last year, and they got him cheaper and a bit younger. And then you look at Andrew Van Ginkel, he overperformed. Blake Cashman, he overperformed. All these guys, they played their ass off for Brian Flores. And then you look at on the offense side of the ball, they know they're going to be tested every single day. And when talking about those red zone struggles, McCarthy was saying that missing by inches, that's what happens when you're down in the red zone. You got to be detailed oriented and really specific with where you're putting the ball. And with looking at these McCarthy quotes and hearing how he speaks as well in these interviews and with all the videos that we've seen, you can't help but wonder, is this a Kevin O'Connell Jr.? He speaks like Kevin O'Connell, uses the same vocabulary, has the same amount of composure, has the same amount of mentality and attack, and saying, yeah, we just got to keep improving it. It's inches. You got to bring it down to the most minute details. Looks like Kevin O'Connell really rubbed off on him, and he's just taken him under his wing as his protege, because this is sounding almost exactly like what we hear out of Kevin O'Connell during the regular season, or when things are tough, when they make mistakes, and how he breaks it down and analyzes it. It's amazing that it's passed down to his players, and this is something that McCarthy has kind of always had. He's always had this kind of mentality, but that's something that quarterbacks just have to have. And like we've seen it where people have compared J.J. McCarthy's mentality to how Tom Brady carries himself. Who learned from Tom Brady as well? Kevin O'Connell. And J.J. McCarthy and Kevin O'Connell are in the same building every single day, learning from each other over the past 2 years, and now we're going to see it finally come to fruition in the regular season. But what do you guys think about all of this in the comments down below? What do you guys think about JJ McCarthy and his struggles? Do you think it's just nothing but smoke and mirrors and the media is blowing out of proportion? Or do you think it's a result of him just going up against a tough as nails defense that is just going to make life hard for him every single practice? Let us know down in the comments below. But that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is what y'all came here for, and that is Josh Metellus speaking out on the Aaron Rodgers situation, where after signing a 3-year deal at $36 million, he had his special game circled on the regular season for this upcoming season. As rumors connecting Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings were red hot this offseason, and Metellus was asked about how happy he is that Minnesota didn't sign him as a free agent on the NFL Spotlight podcast with Ari Mirov. Earlier this week, Josh Metellus had this to say, that A-Rod was my favorite quarterback growing up. I only watched the NFC North for 2 players, A-Rod and Adrian Peterson. Until my first season, we were playing Green Bay. He throws a touchdown, my first touchdown Aaron Rodgers threw against me. And then he goes on to continue saying that I'm so happy we didn't sign him on the team because I want to pick him off before he retires. I can't be going out letting my favorite player of all time growing up do me like that. I got to get him back. I'm so happy we didn't bring him in. And there's probably a lot of Vikings fans who are very happy they didn't bring Aaron Rodgers in for multiple different reasons. But Josh Metellus, it was personal for him this time. He wanted to make sure that, hey, we can go out and we can get him one more time and try and make up for what he did to me a few years ago. And this was in reference to something in 2020 where Aaron Rodgers threw a touchdown pass to Devontae Adams. It was a pretty nice play, but it's something you hate to see, especially when it's his first touchdown that he gave up against Aaron Rodgers. You don't want to see that. You want to see him get revenge. And he will have a chance at revenge on September 28th in Dublin, Ireland, when the Vikings face the Pittsburgh Steelers in that neutral ground in the first game in Ireland, where Rodgers has thrown 116 interceptions in his NFL career, but Metellus hopes he can add one more to his stat sheet before the future Hall of Famer hangs up the cleats. Now, we saw how the game last year against the Jets, that ended with Harrison Smith creating a big play, them getting some picks as well. So there's going to be multiple big play opportunities for Josh Metellus, and I don't doubt that he's going to make the most of it, especially going after a guy that he wants to just make life hell for him for one more game and one last ride where he can just say, hey, I got revenge. I got an interception on Aaron Rodgers, to the guy that I loved growing up as a player. And yeah, I have something in common with Josh Metellus, where as much as it sucked as a Vikings fan playing against Aaron Rodgers, he was awesome to watch in his prime. But even better was the other guy that Josh Metellus was saying was Adrian Peterson. All day AP, watching him play was some of the best football I've ever seen as a football fan, not just as a Vikings fan, just football in general. When you break down running backs, just the ultimate running back for the modern era. You couldn't have asked for anything more than Adrian Peterson on the football field. But what did you guys think about Josh Metellus in his comments and all this? I loved hearing that he was just like, no, I'm happy we didn't sign him just because of this one specific reason. I thought that was absolutely hilarious, and it could have been a lot of people just saying, oh, well, he just didn't want him there. No, I think that was a very personal motivated reason, and we've seen with Josh Metellus and his personality, he is a guy that he's going to hold something, carry with him for a few seasons, and make sure that he keeps receipts so that when he comes up at big, he makes sure that everyone knows that, hey, I was planning this was a long time coming, and now it finally came to fruition. Speak what you want into existence and it will come true is his motto, it seems like, and he's hoping that it comes true this season. But let us know what you guys think down in the comments below, and stay tuned for the next update that we got coming for you guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you don't miss it and get first notifications when it drops. But for now, I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.